anyone and everyone, including you, can get rich. That was the claim made by Naval Ravikant on the Joe Rogan podcast. But is it true? Can everyone get rich? And if that is true, how do you do it? Let's see what Naval said.
Are those things even possible?
Absolutely.
Everyone can be rich?
Everyone can be rich.
Everyone.
Here's my thought exercise for you.
Now it seems like we're in an infomercial.
But yes, everybody can be rich. And let me give you the thought exercise. Okay. Imagine if tomorrow we could wave a wand and everybody was trained as a scientist or an engineer. Even if you weren't very good, you had enough understanding of computers, you could write some code, you could build some hardware. And don't tell me people can't do it, because they can. That's just the tyranny of soft expectations. That's just you looking down on somebody else. They can do it. They just have to be educated. Now, if they're educated all as hardware, software engineers, scientists, biologists, technicians, hard sciences, not the social sciences, we would all be done within 5 years. Robots would be doing everything from cleaning toilets to cooking food to flying airplanes to driving Ubers. And what would we be doing? We would be doing all creative jobs to entertain each other and researching science and technology. We would have wonderful lives. So it is really just a question of education, nothing else.
Okay, well, there's some pretty interesting stuff, but there's a couple things to note. First of all, not everybody can be rich if you are defining rich relative to poor people. There will always be a discrepancy in income. And if you're saying rich is the top half of the population, there will always be poor people, which will be the bottom half of the population. What Naval is saying instead is that everybody can get richer than they are now. In reality, what he's saying is that everybody can have financial freedom. I believe that wealth doesn't have to be zero sum. What that means is that if I gain something, that doesn't mean that somebody else has to lose something in order for me to gain something. An example of that is that when Naval goes on the Joe Rogan podcast, he is giving advice, and I'm gaining advice from him. I'm gaining value from him. But that doesn't mean that he is losing advice from himself. When he gives me knowledge, he's not losing knowledge himself. And we can see that in multiple interactions, when you go to the shop and you spend something, say it costs you $10, the person that's selling you the thing is benefiting, otherwise they wouldn't sell you the item for $10. And you are benefiting, otherwise you wouldn't spend the $10. There is an excess value that is generated. Otherwise, the transaction wouldn't happen. And when you view that singular excess of value and you scale it up to billions of transactions over the entire population, that's how over time we can all improve as a species. And we can see that this has happened historically because we're not all living in caves. Things have improved. We've become more comfortable. We have all become richer on average than we were thousands of years ago. That proves that wealth can be positive sum. And if that continues to happen, then of course we can all become more financially free in the future. But it's important to note that Naval said that if we could wave a magic wand,
we would all be done within 5 years. Robots would be doing everything.
Then we would be able to have financial freedom. But we don't have a magic wand, and in reality, educating everybody will be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, simply because some people just don't want to learn. Some people would really not enjoy that sort of work, so they would hate it, and to educate them just simply won't work. So, removing the magic wand, how can somebody get rich today, not in the future? Well, Naval also has some principles on that. He has this tweet storm that went viral, and there's one tweet in particular that says, if you want to get rich, you can get rich by giving society what it wants, but doesn't know how to get at scale. Now, this tweet has so much value packed into it, so let's dissect it to give you some principles on how you can start becoming more financially free. So we can learn the first lesson by focusing in on the word society. If you want more money, then other people have that money and have to give it to you. So the way that you make money is by going to other people. But obviously you don't just want to take money in a zero-sum way. You don't want to take money and not give them something back, which is where we can learn the second lesson. You can earn money by giving society what it wants. We have to focus in on the desires of other people. If people have desires, they're willing to spend money to fulfill those desires. Third lesson, what people want but don't know how to get. This is huge. We can summarize all of this by simply solving problems. A problem is something that somebody wants to solve but doesn't know how to solve, otherwise it would be solved. So you can get rich by solving society's problems at scale, which is the next lesson. To do something at scale, you need to have leverage. It's not enough just to go to one person and solve one person's problems. They will give you money, but you're not going to get all of the money you want to get simply by one person. So you have to solve problems in society at scale, which can only be done through leverage. What leverage is it's using one block of your time and getting multiple blocks of value back in return from that. An obvious example, instead of me sitting and talking to you in person, I'm holding up my phone like a weirdo and I'm speaking to this camera and it's reaching thousands of people. That is leverage. So that's the next lesson that you can learn. The next lesson is, how do you know how to solve problems that other people don't know how to solve? That comes from specific knowledge. Specific knowledge is something that you know that other people don't know, that comes from specific things that have happened in your life that have given you insight. You can use specific knowledge to understand how to solve problems that other people don't know how to solve. And finally, how do you make sure that it's you getting paid? Well, that is through accountability. Accountability is putting your name on the work that you do, and you need to do that if you want the credit for solving the problems that you're actually solving. If you want to dive deeper into this, I've made a video going over specific knowledge, leverage, and accountability, which Naval says are the 3 things you need to master if you want to get rich. And also, if you want to go deeper into this, I've made a video on the step by step on figuring out who you want to help, figuring out the problems they have, helping them solve those problems and helping them monetize. On the video right now are the 2 videos that I recommend you watch if you want to go deeper into building wealth.